if the Red County do not buy any more of our bad debt, doesn't that mean that we could be going bankrupt?
Philip, let me clarify your question. Is it about our debt being purchased by foreign countries? This past week, for the first time, our bonds brought less than what we asked on the world market. That should concern each and every one of us. That's how we sell our debt. It's troublesome. Right now, we are in peril because so much of our debt is held by China, the Saudi Arabian countries, and those who really don't have our interests at heart. And what we do, we can do one of two things to reduce our debt. That's raise taxes or cut spending. And you've heard me for now 20 minutes, 25 minutes talk about cutting spending. That should be the absolute priority that we do. But yes, your assessment is correct. We are in peril, but we can sit around and wring our hands, or we can say, "Hey, Congress, you know, you oversee the purse. It's your job to balance this budget. Get busy." Mr. Burge, ask me an easy question, please.
Kind of a two-part. Have you ever read the Federalist Papers?
Have I read the Federalist Papers? Yes, I have. Don't ask me to quote them, but they are the parallel that was being written while the Constitution was being approved.
We have a couple of lawyers running for the same seat that you are. They want to tout their Constitution knowledge credentials. Would you sign on to a bill that's up there right now? Zach Wong has signed on to this co-sponsor that would require citation of constitutional authority for any legislation that's presented.
I actually met that member of Congress when I was in Washington recently, and yes, we sent out a release saying that that's something that we support. Again, in the title of every bill, you should be able to identify what provides you the constitutional authority. Like healthcare, this healthcare law is unconstitutional. They are misreading the Congress clause in every capacity, and it's wrong. So yes, sir, I would be very much willing to do that. And I do need to make a comment. I am of the folks who are running, I'm the only candidate who has healthcare background. I'm a former critical care and transplant nurse working at UAB in Birmingham, working in sales and marketing, but I'm also a non-attorney, which is an important thing I do. Sorry. Other questions? Take two more questions. Yes, Mr. Newman.
I was interested in your suggestion of allowing younger workers to invest. You said 30% of what would be their Social Security. My question is, why stop there? Why not allow younger workers to invest 100%?
Well, and again, I do think we need to be sensible. Unfortunately, we witnessed just in this last 3 to 4 years what irresponsibility can happen on the market. But I will have to add that caveat. The reason our markets were so horrible and the reason our 401ks are now 205.5ks is because government intervention mandated lowering the lending criteria for banks and loans on these subprime lending, and it started a cascade of events that you just couldn't push back uphill. And so our government is every bit of at fault of all of this and the bailout. So unfortunately, if you privately invest all of it because of irresponsibility on our government's behalf, it could jeopardize someone's, supplement to their retirement. But I do think at least 30% should be available for people to put into some sort of a private account that draws steady interest that you're never taxed upon, and it comes out of your pre-tax dollars. But I'm willing to extend that up to 50%. I don't trust our government. I do not. I mean, they have blown Social Security, and I just don't. And it applies to Wall Street. There was one other question. Yes, Chris.
Now that you've been on the trail for a while, you may have reflected on the campaign finance system that's around it. Have you had a chance to do any thinking about what changes you would make to campaign finance now that you...
Indeed. Immediate reporting. Rather than, we have the ability to report immediately, within a matter of a week, rather than 3 months, what money you've taken in. I do think that the court's ruling recently on corporate dollars is appropriate, because guess what happens? Unions are there, some of these large organizations are there, and so we're talking about a speech issue. It just needs to be very transparent. And I do think that we need to look at, one of the things that Tennessee got right, it was looking at limits on certain dollars, individual contributions. However, we got wrong the millionaire's clause. I think it's time to make sure that the average citizen can compete on a level playing ground, you know, because unfortunately, y'all probably know, I am raising 100% of the money. You can go to FEC.gov, type in my name, and you'll see a fun little pie chart, and it says 100% of dollars raised for my campaign come from individual contributions. Unfortunately, one of my competitors that got 8% of the straw poll in Bradley County has raised almost 74% of hit raised out of writing his own check. And you know what? That's what he wants to do, and that's his choice. But I would contend to you, that makes you a very poor candidate, because you don't need people. You can do whatever it is that you want. So I do think we need to address and look at how better we can make sure that people are represented. Can I take one more question? One more. Marty.
Lost in the healthcare debate is the cap and tax bill that seemingly years ago behind us now, decades.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
It's coming. There's an attack underway on clean energy in this country, particularly the coal industry. I do on that business every day. To have spent coal from our coal plant, power plants around the country as a hazardous product, that is absurd. It's completely absurd. Thoughts on that?
Marty, thank you. There is a movement within the next 4 weeks. We'll see the cap and trade bills coming up through the Senate. And I know Lindsay could probably speak to this, but you correct me if I'm wrong. Within the next 4 weeks, this will be movement on the cap and trade bill. So by no means is this a dead proposition. It passed the House. There'll be a different version most likely in the Senate. But we're still talking about paying penalties if you belch out so much carbon dioxide, which is not a poison. Let me go on the record. Global warming is not caused by humans. How do you explain the extreme weather changes that occurred thousands of years ago when there were no humans, or there were no SUVs, there were no coal plants? We have this thing called weather, and I'm glad that we have it. But to your specific question, we do not have a comprehensive energy policy in the United States. We need an all-of-the-above approach, meaning that we need to look at nuclear as our #1 opportunity, because it's 100% emissions-free and clean. In Oak Ridge, I was at a very important opening this past Monday, where they now have a facility that houses almost all of the unused uranium in the United States of America in the most secure building in the United States of America. And guess what they're going to do with it? They're going to reprocess it down, and it's going to be running Sequoia nuclear plant. That's important, because we have the capability of doing that. We need to proceed and look at clean coal. We need to proceed and continue with building dams and hydroelectric. We need to proceed with drilling for on our outer coastal shores. Right now, if we were to transport ourselves between the Keys and Cuba, what you're going to find are oil rigs. But guess what flags they're flying? China, Russia, Venezuela. Any of those have the Stars and Bars? No. Stars and Stripes to me? When they are drilling into our they are drilling into our banks. It's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. We need an energy policy that puts America first. Right now, we are catering to So in closing, visit my website, robinfortennessee.com, Go on my endorsement page and sign up. This election is about you. It's about good government and active citizens. I am one of you. I'm an active citizen. And I would be humbled beyond words for your financial support, for your endorsements, and for all the things that you do. Pray for me, pray for our family, and we're going to reform America.